What's going on, Seaport? So check this out, right? So I checked something out on YouTube about an hour ago that really was pretty interesting as far as the Lul Timm, King Von, Quando Rondo situation. For you guys that don't know, or you guys that should know, because a lot of y'all guys subscribe to my channel because of the fact that King Von was murdered by Lul Timm. Lul Timm is the affiliate of Quando Rondo. But what I stumbled across on YouTube was a criminal defense lawyer. And before I get this thing started, the song that Quando Rondo did in the story, this song is not an indictment on Quando Rondo or Lul Timm. This guy that you see on the screen, he's a criminal defense lawyer. And of course, this song is an indictment on anybody. But of course, as a guy of his knowledge and expertise, he would know more about self-defense, and he's pretty much trying to explain the whole self-defense aspect of this. So I'm gonna let him play this out. Like I said, this guy's a professional. Of course, he's analyzing the song. Of course, songs don't get analyzed and reviewed in court usually like that on a regular. Not unless if you're saying something that has something that directly ties to the case. But of course, this is just a song. But I'm gonna let him explain the whole self-defense thing.
Now, this song is a bit different because instead of a self-snitching video, this is a victimization video. Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Today we are acting to Quando Rondo, end of story. Now this is interesting because it relates to one of our prior King Von videos. And if you recall in one of my reactions, we played the surveillance of the murder of King Von. And so one of the things we'll be doing in this particular episode is we'll analyze the self-defense claim. And so remember, we are here. And just to give you a quick shout out, if you are one of our Patreon members.
Okay, I'm gonna skip it to 2 minutes because he was talking about some other stuff, but I'm gonna skip it to the 2 minute mark. All right.
Supposed to get up to 10 million. So without further ado, Quando Rondo, end of story. This is actually very interesting because it relates to one of the prior songs that we did.
Sometimes the best response is none at all. You probably would have left your match that ain't 100 dog. See, nowadays it's like a fan.
So now, just so we're clear, he's talking about you probably would have left your man's, that ain't 100. In other words, you would have just left your guy there. You would have taken off instead of stay there and fight. This is a beef between two guys where Quando Rondo is being assaulted, or at least he's on the ground, and then his associate comes around and shoots King Von. That's how King Von died. And so he says he's disrespecting him a little bit in that part of the song.
On the police job, y'all talk that gangster shit, but cry when a nigga get lost. You supposed to walk and have but shit, I still ain't got my point across. If the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't have said he wrong. Fuck what they say, that's understood, we had to make it.
Now, this song is a bit different because instead of a self-snitching video, this is a victimization video. In other words, he's saying, if you guys wouldn't have started this, none of this would have happened.
I put that on the neighborhood before they bust my dome. Tell me right, blood on the brother on the ground, won't pick your mans up. Downright we screaming self-defense, he should've never put his hands on.
So, as you can see, he starts talking about self-defense. He should never put his hands on me. Now let's talk about self-defense a little bit, because there's my understanding of the facts of this, and I know what you guys know pretty much, but whenever you have self-defense is raised where somebody else is the aggressor, but you have to meet force with like force. In other words, you can't use a gun when somebody has a paperclip.
Important part that he just said, you can't use a gun when somebody doesn't have one. in other terms.
But that's all the evidence. See them pussy niggas showing right up. Who the fuck said that I was high and I'm still right around with them bands? And said the record's great. I ain't never had no show inside the A. Man on my head, that's what they say. That's all you got, bitch, make it A. Come wanna bone me, bite the back. 30 clip on me, jump out, shake. That shit a shame. I'ma live this way until they put me in my grave. We be on some beat shit. We be on some rock out with.
Here's the other thing about self-defense. You have the right to defend yourself, but in most jurisdictions, unless you have a stand your ground state, most jurisdictions require a duty to retreat. So if you can reasonably retreat, you have to, unless you have a stand your ground doctrine in your state.
So what he said by that is, of course, Florida, the state below us, they have the stand your ground law. You guys already know. If this situation happened in Florida, anywhere in Florida, I think Lul Timm would have been out of jail like that, because Florida, they stand your ground laws are plain and simple. It's plain, if somebody's threatening you, you have the right to defend yourself by any means. Texas is like that too. So, but what he said was important right there, because if Quando Rondo would have retreated and King Von was still following him, then that would have been more of a claim of self-defense.
Block out on some G shit. I been with them youngest really marked out on that free shit. We be on some block up, blow they block off, hit they street shit. We be on some fucking.
Now he talks about blowing their block off and being really aggressive. That would eliminate your right to self-defense, and it kind of goes against the victimization part of it.
But like I said, this song is not an indictment on Quando Rondo or Lul Timm. Like I said, the prosecutors ain't gonna look at the end of story song and say, "Oh well, we're gonna indict Quando Rondo on this." I mean, they might look at some of the lyrics, but it's not strong enough to indict Lul Timm on anything. And of course, Quando Rondo is the victim in this.
None at all. You probably would've left your man's that ain't $100. Shit, I still ain't got my point across. If the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't have said he wrong. Fuck what they say, that's understood. We
I ain't gonna lie. You seen the white dude jamming? He was bobbing his head. I'll play that like 10 seconds back.
Probably would've left your man's that ain't $100. Shit, I still ain't got my point across. If the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't have said he wrong. Fuck what they say, that's understood. We had to make it home. I put that on the neighborhood before they bust my dome. Tell me right or wrong. Top shot at it, play, I'm dropped in the bag. Right by the store with all them crip niggas, only life that I had. What they don't know, he knocked out 4 and did it all with no mask. So many men, they wanna kill me, feeling like Curtis Jackson. Whoa.
Curtis Jackson is a reference to 50 Cent, and in the song Many Men, he talks about being pursued or it has a hit on him. And in the song, he talks about, well, if you're gonna, 1 million isn't enough because you should get 8.
I don't give a fuck, I know I feel. My mans ain't do nothing wrong. And if your mans wanna do the same, you need to stop fucking with them. They on our side. And everybody think this shit a game. I already know it's murder behind that shit.
So this is really a different type of song than we've reviewed so far, that we've reacted to. He's really kind of going back and talking about something that happened and how he's the victim, and it was self-defense. But the other thing about self-defense is you can't raise the self-defense if you're the aggressor. You can't raise self-defense if you're using a disproportionate amount of force. But when you do raise self-defense, it's up to the prosecutor to prove that there was no self-defense, that you did not act in. So they have to sort of disprove a negative.
Okay, see what he just said right there. Let me play that back.
Can't raise self-defense if you're using a disproportionate amount of force.
Can't use self-defense if you're using a disproportionate amount of defense. So, and that's something that the lawyer of Lul Timm would have to defend for his right of defense. Well, I'll run through a little bit more. He'll explain it.
When you do raise self-defense, it's up to the prosecutor to prove that there was no self-defense, that you did not act it. So they have to sort of disprove a negative. So that was Quando Rondo, end of story. This is really not a case of self-defense. It's actually a case of defense of others, and which is the same standard. But in this case, he was coming around if you remember in the surveillance video, he was coming around the corner and from the car that he was in, and Quando Rondo was getting his lunch eaten, for lack of a better word. And
but it was being funny. But I mean, the fact that King Von did swing first, does initiate a type of defense that Quando Rondo had to set up himself. And like I said in that video, and I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, but in that video, in that live stream that I did several months back, you seen King Von was the first one to throw punches. Now, let me say, if Quando Rondo was the first person to throw punches, then the whole self-defense thing would have been thrown out the window, or the defense of others, which is the same thing as what he said. So, there's a lot of technicalities as far as the legal system go.
And that's when he fires. But if there weren't any guns being used against Quando Rondo, it's going to be very difficult to claim self-defense. Now,
and that's the main thing. If there wasn't any gun shown or forced on Quando Rondo, then that's the main thing. And that's what I really want to cover in this video. If Quando Rondo wasn't threatened by a gun, then why did Lul Timm pull out his gun? But at the same time, Quando Rondo could finesse it and say, hey, he threatened me with a gun. He say he's going to shoot me. He could lie at this point, because in that video, if I'm not mistaken, it don't have any audio with it. It's just a video. If I haven't seen the video with the audio, then somebody let me know. But the video of King Von getting shot, I didn't hear any audio with that. But, at the same time, like I said, it's a lot of technicalities when it comes to self-defense and even murder at that. But I don't see Lul Timm being charged straight out with murder. Of course, I see things going out. Lul Timm, he might get less than 7 or 8 years. This coming November, he'll be in there for about a year. So, you got to see how things just play out. I don't even think the person that killed Nipsey Hussle went to the trial yet. So, Lul Timm still has a lot of time. His defense has a lot of time to get things together and improve and show that this was a case of defense. But I'm going to let it play out a little bit more.
we've had a couple of comments. I think somebody commented that I was a Fed or something like that. I try to look at this case from both sides. I'm a defense lawyer. That's how I'm trained. And one of the things we have to do as a defense, in any good criminal defense, is look at a set of facts through the eyes of a typical juror that's sitting in the jury box. We have to know the ups and the downs, the good, the bad. We have to know how a case is going to pan out. So when I analyze facts, like in this case or in any of the other videos, I analyze it with kind of like, how would the prosecutor look at this and how do you beat it? You know, and that's kind of what I do. So I really appreciate you guys.
Important things he just said. We played the last 15 seconds of it.
Facts, like in this case or in any of the other videos, I analyze it with kind of like, how would the prosecutor look at this and how do you beat it? You know, I analyze it with kind of like, how would the prosecutor look at this and how do you beat it? I analyze it with kind of like, how would the prosecutor look at this and how do you beat it? I analyze it with kind of like, how would the prosecutor look at this and how do you beat it?
Important shit he just said. I mean, I ain't gonna say it again, but he just said it for you. And I just wanted to break that down because I know I have a lot of subscribers that subscribe to me just off the fact of the King Von situation. And of course, I'm not a lawyer. You know, I'm not a self-defense attorney, lawyer like this guy is. But I feel like I could at least get his input on the situation and react to it. But yeah, y'all guys let me know if you feel like what this guy says is right about the whole situation of King Von and Lul Timm, or Timothy Leaks, I should say. And I haven't got an update as far as the trial yet, but as soon as any trial starts or I get word of it, I'll let y'all guys know as well. But that's all for today. Take care of yourself and stay blessed.